Today we are going to be working on a new piston factory today, and some of you may remember this version 1 that I've made quite a bit of time ago. It feels like just very recently I designed this factory here, but yeah, this was pretty decent for my first ever like solo project, like decently scaled project that I've ever done, and it was using the version 1 of my piston crafter here. As you can see, not anything too special in today's time, but as the first piston AutoCrafter that I've seen at the time of making this, it was pretty decent in terms of speed. 1600 pistons per hour is not bad per module. So in total, this factory has 20 modules or 40 individual crafters, so that means it can craft a speed of 64,000 pistons per hour. Now that is not a bad amount of pistons per hour. However, there were some issues and new iterations that I wanted to improve on in newer factories. So V2, instead of having this 4-wing layout, used a slim hull layout where it's all in one line basically. Instead of having these extra 2 wings on the side, everything's all in straight. V3 is also similar to that slim hull layout, but it has a different kind of layout. So V2 used 2 cores, so 2 individual wings of crafters. V3, however, now that we're going to be building today, has 4 individual cores, but they're all in a straight line basically. So yeah, this one was very decent for my first crafter, like first factory that I think. There's apparently a bunch of shulker boxes here that I will take. And yes, as you can see, we didn't really use it too much. It did end up breaking after a little bit of time, just because there wasn't too many safety features and boxes could be misinput there. And there was no auto shut off for the crafters if they were starting to run low on items. So that was also a bad thing. You had kind of like remember when the items would run out. So all in all, that wasn't a great thing for the use, or for the ease of use for the player here. So I wanted to make some changes, which I definitely did. So yeah, V3, if you may have seen from the 1000 subscriber special, that factory is still my favorite factory as of now, and obviously my new factory, I love it. I love how it turned out, all the time and effort I spent into just the crafter alone. I think I probably spent close to 4 hours on that crafter, because I am making a use of a new crafter that shouldn't really be possible at the speed that I made it, but it was definitely a really interesting challenge to tackle, and it's gone, the crafter itself went through 2 iterations before the one that was using the factory, and then has since gone through another iteration after this. But unfortunately, to do that, it's a bit of a change to the crafter, so we're going to be sticking with the one that's in the schematic for the 1000 subscriber special, because that is still plenty faster than this, a little bit more than 2x the speed of this factory here, which is pretty good. So yeah, let's get into that. I'm gonna go build a piston bolt to the destination. Alright, for those of you that haven't seen the factory here, this is what we will actually be building today. This is the 1000 subscriber special piston factory version 3, and here you can see we have the 4 individual cores here for the factory. Now, something that's definitely more user friendly for this one is you can select 1 core individually. So say you don't need all 4 cores, while you should build all 4 cores, but if you only want to function one of them, you definitely can do that. And yeah, so that's kind of the benefit to this one. It's like fully programmable in quotation marks. You can decide what you want to use and everything like that. So I do kind of break this down in another video on how to operate this, but we'll go through some very simple things here. So we have the 4 individual cores. This new factory makes use of my new 1-wide tileable piston crafter here. It's technically AB tileable with this here. If you didn't want to do this, the honey and slime here, I did figure out that you can instead take the composter and just put it here, and then because there is a solid block here, you can take the output from this here, and as long as this is a barrel here and not a dropper, you will be able to lock this hopper here. As we can see, you can put an item inside the crafting table and it will stay there. If we were to then unpower this by pulling this back here, you can see that the item then gets transferred into there, which then we can relock. This only works if you, however, use barrels like the schematic is and not droppers, as the other ones would then get cross-powered, which you don't want to do. So you can do that if you want to avoid the slime and honey here, but because the top logic here for the minecarts and the lamp displays all use honey, I figured that it was okay to do this. So yeah, those pistons then get sent into their own 8x shulker box loader here per 2 cores. This is plenty fast to keep up with the piston output of the 2 cores. So yeah, haven't had an issue with that at all. And then those then get sent up to the main UI for the player. Same for both sides. Obviously, if you only use 1 core at a time, then you really don't even need that 8x shulker box loader, but it's really just meant for if you use both of them in that same side. And yes, like I said, we have the 4 core selection panel. This also has lamp indicators for each material per core, and it will not allow you to turn the core on if materials are missing due to this override here. So this one right here is the one when you select it from the UI, this one will get retracted there. But even if there's no materials, this core will still stay off, preventing the crafter from breaking, which is definitely a huge upgrade from the old one. Some other basic things: a new user interface for the input is here. Instead of having 4 individual inputs for all different materials, we have a central input with a box sorter that will sort the boxes automatically for the player. And something I added onto this too is that any extra box basically will get sent back to the player and not input into the factory, preventing the factory from breaking. So we had this in the with version 1, we had an issue where there was a pork chop box and a firework box misinput into the system, which caused a crafting module to fail, which was definitely hard to fix sometimes. And with these one wide tile level crafters here, you definitely don't want that to happen, because if you set one of the middle breaks here, it's very, very difficult to get into that and actually figure out and break all the hoppers, droppers, all that kind of stuff. You definitely don't want to do that, which is why I added that safety feature there for that. And yeah, so there is also a sticky piston crafter here. Not the speed of the factory, only meant for a small convenience. They are both 2,000 an hour for sticky pistons, so that means 4,000 sticky pistons per hour, which you definitely can use if you would like. Also has its own safety feature here to prevent that from breaking as well. So even if you retract this redstone block here, the crafter is still turned off until the material threshold is met. The item decrafter here, this is going to command Leo's crafting station. Basically allows you to bring over a bunch of shulkers of iron blocks, redstone blocks, and logs to then craft into the materials needed for the piston recipe in bulk. Instead of having to bring over just 27 shulker boxes of redstone, you can bring over 27 shulker boxes of redstone blocks and then craft that in to 9x the amount of redstone dust boxes very easily here. And definitely a huge upgrade for large quantities of pistons, which this is definitely not an early game farm, because the buffer per crafter is about 3 to 4 shulker boxes per crafter, and there's 108 boxes, or 108 crafters. So well over 400 shulker boxes just to fill the buffers of all 4 cores. Which is why if you were to build this early game for whatever reason, I would only recommend to use 1 core, which still has a crafting speed of about 34,000 pistons per hour, which is still pretty good. About half the speed of my old factory, and it's only 1 core. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics of this. There is obviously some other things. Chunk loading is only kicked on once a core is crafting items. There is a manual override in the UI here if you would like to do that. But yeah, that's basically the simple factory broken down. And now we get to go to a time lapse and build this up. time lapse has been completed, and now we can head over to the area here. So this is the new piston bolt that we have made. It's not too bad at all, only a little bit over 100 blocks, and we just drop down here. This system I really did enjoy designing here, not that one, that's not too bad. This one here. So basically what's going to happen here is we're going to free cam here, and what I did here is I pushed this redstone, or this activator rail on top of this redstone block here. That will cause the player to automatically get out of the minecart here, and then at the same time we retract it and then allow the minecart to drop back down with this circuitry that I had here. A bit messy, but it is still pretty nice to actually look at when it functions. So let's see here. So I'm gonna hit the button, we'll get shot up, pushed over, and it happens very, very quickly here. So we'll watch it in free cam here, not going up ourselves, but you can see that we'll push this activator rail on top, then we'll retract this first, then we'll push it back. Once the minecart's up, we'll then push this activator rail over to get the player out, then retract that, and then retract that, and then push it back to let the minecart drop through. It happens very quickly, so you can see it here, but it's still one of my favorite systems to design. You can see basically right as that block gets extended again, we push that activator rail back over and retract it very quickly to allow the minecart to go back down. So yeah, that was a fun thing to design. Took me a little bit, but definitely interesting to see. And then we just have the portal down here with the chunk loaders a bit above up there. And yeah, we're at the factory here. We will be able to actually run this for you today. We're going to go get some spruce planks for all the cores. They all seem to have run out of spruce planks. But yeah, this factory has crafted us over 200,000 pistons just in testing. And this deco definitely turned out better than expected. The pistons kind of give you a cool optical illusion when you go up here. I did post this a little bit, but I still love how this very simple deco, just a piston on the wall, turns out really cool. So this is actually a square down here, but it actually forms like a diamond or like a star almost there. So you can see it kind of goes indent, but that's just because of the perspective that you were looking at here. Obviously, you go back down, you can see it's just a square, but that is a cool little optical illusion there. That was kind of definitely planned. Definitely planned, 100%. But yeah, so like I said, we have the override here. Piston output, like I said, a little bit over 200,000 pistons, including the buffer for the dispenser and the 2 droppers down here. So that purchases over 200,000 pistons crafted. And we also have used the sticky piston crafter and have gotten a good amount of those as well. But yeah, so this thing is fully operational, tested, and released. So obviously this would not have been released if it wasn't in its functional stage for the 1000 subscriber special, because that was something that I really wanted to, make sure it's all good and everything like that. So definitely building up in a survival setting first to test it out, find some bugs, improve some things, make that factory even better than it was before. Definitely helped out to make it find everything that could have been wrong and fixed up. And we also get a new piston factory out of this, which I am definitely pleased with. I know for some future bedrock breaking projects, this will definitely come in handy. While yes, we do have mass crafting that we could use, I like the AutoCrafting. Most of you have seen this. I've been AutoCrafting for quite some time now, and there's always new things to design. I just enjoy it more. It feels like it should be more vanilla to me than the mass crafting, but it's really just personal preference at the end of the day. You can play the game how you want to play it. I personally am really enjoying AutoCrafting, so we're going to keep it for this series for sure, and it fits with the name of the series, AutoCraft. So yeah, I'll keep doing this, and we'll go get some spruce planks. We'll run the factory to show you guys its full potential. We'll fill all 4 cores up to get that buffer, but I don't know how much we can be able to craft. It won't be long, honestly, just for the video. So yeah, we have a bit of redstone for the cores. Yeah, the planks are, yeah, okay. So a little bit out here. So if a single crafter runs out, the whole core gets shut off. So there's 108 shulker box unloaders per core. If a single one of them turns off, even like per material right here with this AND gate. If a single one of them, as you can see, there's 3 of them that are down, but one of them is up, that will turn the whole factory off to prevent it from breaking, which we definitely don't want it to do. And yeah, so that's, like I said, the simple things kind of broken down, built up. I put a book here for all the people to read. I'll go through these pages here if you want to pause and read kind of a bit more detailed, broken down how to actually use it. And the crafting speed, this is also a bit changed, but I can't change it. Yeah, this was when it was in its basically beta stage, so we didn't fully test it out. Obviously the crafter was tested, but I needed to make some changes to it for it to be reliable in any location. And just so happened to be that the crafter got faster when I made it more reliable, because I was able to push it a little bit further. And we just also built a cobblestone farm on the outside here. It's on this side. This is the one I designed for the first piston factory. The cobblestone farm itself was not my design. I just attached the shulker box loaders and the UI to give it some sort of better functionality in a survival set. So yeah, that's just there because we can then easily transport mass amount of cobblestone, because that is the most required material to craft a piston, because you need 4 of those per piston, compared to the 3 planks, which is still pretty expensive, but you can bring those over in bulk. You cannot bring over a ton of cobblestone at a single point in time, so making it outside of the walls made the most sense to me. And yeah, so let's look at the planks, fill this up a little bit, and we'll craft some more piston. Alright, so we're coming back from the tree farm here, and we have our logs, and I'm going to show you basically the basically how easy Tweakeroo mass crafting makes this system very easy to use, and why this isn't really a viable system if you have mass crafting. But personally, I just don't really like doing mass crafting for stuff like this. I'd rather make a dedicated AutoCrafter. But for pistons, at least, any other thing we'll definitely use the mass crafter for, unless I get some motivation later down the line to use some of this, make a whole new factory for another component. Highly unlikely. This uses a lot of time, effort, and development, testing, all that kind of stuff. So it's possible. It's just highly unlikely to make a different factory, mainly because you don't really need any other item in large quantities like this. This is mainly used for bedrock breaking, which is why pistons are generally the thing that is crafted the most. So yeah, we have these spruce logs here. We're just going to throw them into here. For me, I'm going to turn off entity ticking here. That way we can do this. And we just basically empty all the shulker boxes. There is better ways to do this. I personally just like doing this instead of having to toggle on another thing. So you can see we're already below 9 boxes. I'm going to throw all these onto the ground here, and then we'll just mass craft these into the planks, and then throw into shulker box, and then we'll throw them into the area over there. So just throw those boxes there, and then we'll select it there, and we'll just mass craft here. Basically just hold down the hotkey for this. Put a stop here, because I don't think that's not what I wanted to do, but it's fine. Just take it out, and then we'll just keep constantly filling the shulker boxes here. Don't want to put anything into the hopper. Definitely got to be careful about that. So position down on the bottom stair usually is the better part. That way you don't click the hopper accidentally unless you move your mouse before the shulker box is there. So this one definitely should add more than 54 storage space for this, but basically I'm just using Command Leo's schematic here for their 6 game tick, I believe, crafting station, which makes this part very easy to do, especially in large quantities for redstone, iron, any of that kind of stuff. Definitely is a huge help for bringing these items over and things like that. So yeah, get the rest of these in and crafted, and then we'll put them into the system. So now that we have that, we'll take these out, put them into the UI. This is where the locking of the bottom hoppers for this comes in very handy. That way we can just throw them in there, not to worry about that getting sent off. We'll put that in there, dispense that, and drop that. And then we'll just continue until this is all done. So I'll be back. Alright, that gave us exactly 108 boxes, which is good enough for all 4 cores. Definitely planned that, don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, so that'll give us a full round trip for all 4 cores. So we'll select all 4 cores before we input the items. And one small downside, when you input items and all 4 buffers thresholds are met, the crafter will automatically turn on. So this isn't catastrophically bad. If you didn't want it to craft while it's still dispersing the items, it'll turn on for a little bit, which isn't too bad. It's not a big deal. The crafter will still turn off if it runs low on items. This is if you didn't want to turn the crafter on while inputted items. Unfortunately, that has to be done, and that's just how the system works, is a bit coded. But yeah, so we have all the materials here. We're going to click the note block, input those into the system, and then we get sorted here by the box sorter. So it should be the last one, correct, there we go. You can see that those are going to the box batcher here, and since we have all 4 cores selected, all 4 of those shoppers, as you can see there, will dispense 1 shulker box, which then correspond to a single core. So then, I think this one over here was the closest one to fill up. It should be this one right here. This one should fill up the fastest and be sent off. Actually, it's this one over here. Was one off. So this core will turn on now. So yep, core 2 is currently crafted, and the chunk loading automatically kicked in right away as that core was turned on. And once all the other 3 minecart chests get sent off very shortly, those ones had a little bit larger of a buffer, so you'll see that these lamps will turn on momentarily. There's another one on there, so core 1 is also crafting. And then once these 2 get their box, we should see those lamps turn off here. But yeah, while we're waiting for those, we'll go see down here, and we can see the cores crafting. As you can see, core 1 and 2 on the right there are currently crafting. There we go. Core 3 also kicked into action, and core 4 should be almost there. There we go. Core 4 then turns on. And then now we are crafting pistons at a speed of 144,000 per hour. All in a smaller area, well, smaller length area than my old piston factory. And there's over 4 times the amount, or over 5 times the amount of crafters inside this factory. So yeah, this is something that I was really excited to do, because it's something that shouldn't really be possible, making a 1 wide tile piston crafter at such a speed. I do, however, have a faster crafter already, but I won't be making a new factory with that one as of now. If you do want to just basically swap it out, the crafter is the same footprint, so you very easily could swap it out. There are just some different variations of blocks and stuff to make the sequence faster, which is kind of a bit of a pain to do since we already have the factory built up. All the buffer items are already in there, so it would be kind of a pain to do that. So unfortunately, we won't be upgrading it. It's about a 20% increase in crafting speed, but unfortunately, it's just such a large amount of work that we don't really need, to be honest. This is already an insane amount of pistons per hour that we can craft, and yeah, so yeah, this is still quite insane to see, and this will allow us to then break a ton of bedrock in the future. Well, yes, we could have mass crafted. Well, like I said before, we could have mass craft these pistons with Tweakeroo. Just something about AutoCrafting really interests me, and it's a nice challenge to make your own designs and not just copy somebody else's. So I really encourage people to actually do that for AutoCrafters, as it's not something that a lot of people actually experiment with, and they definitely should. It's really fun. So yeah, that's there. We're gonna turn all the crafters off. That way we don't really need the pistons, because we've crafted about 200,000 pistons so far. just in the testing phases of this. So yeah, that's all good. And then we'll be on to the next project. So make sure you like, subscribe, all those sorts of things, and I'll see you in the next one.